Welcome to our physical count with Sage Intacct today. Next slides, please. So we wanted to go into a little descriptive of what physical inventory count is. So it's an inventory count of a systematic process in which your company's stock is counted, recorded by staff using a predefined method. This ensures your accuracy in tracking inventory levels and typically conducted at the end of the reporting year to asset, stock, and reconcile any discrepancies within your company. So this will also allow you to make any adjustments that are needed for your physical inventory as well. Next slide, please. So the purpose of the physical inventory count is so that way you can ensure that you are accurately telling your stock, having staff manually count each item. This process verifies the accuracy of your inventory management system and identifies discrepancies, which may signal underlying issues. So some key objectives of a physical inventory count is to verify your inventory level. This ensures that your alignment between your physical stock and your system is accurate. Detect any loss or theft, so you can be able to see if there's any discrepancies by theft, breakage, loss, which the system might miss without a manual input. And creating accurate budgets. It helps the business plan for future inventory purchases by providing precise stock counts. And then, of course, our reporting. We love our reporting, especially in Sage Intacct. There is the report accurate earnings, so you'll be able to accurately inventory data ensures correct reporting to the cost of goods, profit, and net income, especially for the public companies. Next slide, please. The benefits of performing a physical count is so that way you can have accurate information, because you want to make sure that your inventory stays up to date, so that way you do have all of that inventory when you are trying to make the sales and then purchase any that are for the forecast. So if you know exactly what you have on hand, you'll be able to have a better count of being able to say, okay, these are the amounts that we would need in the future, so that way we can actually look at it that way. And of course, customer satisfaction. It'll ensure that you have the stock levels that you need to timely get all of your fulfillments done. And then it also helps loss prevention. So you'll be able to make sure that there's no loss, no breakage, or any discrepancies. So that way you don't have to worry about the risk of having stock cost outweigh the item values. And then you, of course, will increase profitability, identify absolute inventory for quick sales, reduce liability, improve profitability by clearing out slow-moving products as well. Next slide, please. The tips and best practices for physical inventory, and this does also come from Sage, where they ask you to plan ahead. So you always want to think about when you're going to do your physical count, so that way you can actually make sure that you have the manpower and you're not doing any shipping out while you're going to do your inventory. You'll use your technologies. So Sage Intacct does use scanners. It is at the very base level, so that is something that they do have. And you can use stock counting tools as well. Choose the accurate staff. So you'll have an option in Sage where you can actually have multiple people, and you can actually assign different staff to counting different ones. And having multiple people actually do a physical count makes sure that that information is accurate. So you can have one person that counts and then another person that comes up behind, so that way you can make sure that you have a double count and it's accurate. You'll also be able to address any discrepancies that you have when you're doing your physical count. And within Sage, there actually is a downloadable Excel spreadsheet that you can do for your physical count, where you can actually say, okay, this is how many we have on stock, and then actually put it into Sage Intacct, and then it would actually be able to help you do any of the journal entries for the discrepancies. You can conduct a mock count, so you can test the process in advance. So if there's one or two items that you guys want to look at, you absolutely can narrow it down to those different ones and say, okay, these are the items that we want to actually count within our inventory. And you can hide item prices. So on your Excel spreadsheet that you have, you can actually hide all of the counts, prices, anything of that sort. So that way you have an unbiased count and nobody's trying to go look. So you can actually say these are the items that we have and then have them fill out the counts. And pause operation. So you want to stop the activity during the count, because if you're doing a physical count and somebody is still putting in and doing the shipment and trying to get out all of that stuff out, then you'll end up having your count be off. And limit staff to only necessary personnel on site. Secure the inventory area, so you want to lock down the stock areas, and then use the inventory software because you're able to track and manage the inventory more effectively. Next slide, please. There are pre-built inventory reports within Sage Intacct. So there's the canned reports that we do have in any accounting software. Sage Intacct actually has some really good built-in ones. So what they do is they'll keep track of your inventory status across all warehouses. So if you set up different warehouses and say you have 3 different warehouses, you can actually track your inventory within each warehouse. And you can compare actual inventory in the system with the ease. And you can filter them by narrowing them down by UPC or item. And it's very handy for barcoding. And you can focus on specific warehouses for targeted insights. Next slide, please. Formatting is very easy within the reports for Sage. So you can actually narrow it down and have it as a detail level for precise quantity and location. You can have a summary location for a high level view of the warehouse itself. You can export it to Excel, so that way you can move around and say, these are the different items that I would like this specific person to do. And of course, in Excel, you can actually have different tabs. So if you're downloading your whole entire inventory, you can say this person is responsible for these items and then have each tab be a different person. And then it also adds spacing and extra details to tweak the columns, so you can actually have a space within your report, so that way somebody could actually write down, this is how many of the inventory I found for that item. Next slide, please. And then, of course, Sage is great with their custom inventory reports. So you can customize it. You can add fields for the quantity adjustments for extra context. You can capture every transaction detail, whether it's an increase or decrease. It's important to adjust in bulk or do a manual entry, and then you can maintain inventory validation to keep everything up to date as well. Next slide, please. Some key points to remember is whether you're using Sage Intacct or another ERP solution, and whether you do a full physical count or a cycle count of your inventory. These are the most important things to remember from today's webinar. Is your system does allocate to inventory to make sure that you have a discussion regarding how allocation inventory is treated during the count. Know how the count will be keyed into the system. Is it a physical count or is it an adjustment? And then during the count process, do you want the system quantity on hand to be known by the person who is counting? So if we have an item that's listed, do you want to know how many we have on hand when the person is actually counting, or do you want to have that item blank? And then, of course, you want to verify the stock levels of the items counted once the inventory has been updated and posted. And then you can use the bullet points above as a guideline to create a standard operating procedure, an SOP, to ensure that each inventory is done the same way every time that you do a count. Next slide, please. And this is why we are here to help you. So Stewart Tech is helped many different companies prepare for their inventory counts. We also have SOPs that we can actually write up for you, so that way you are doing your inventory count the same way every single time that you're doing it. We're one of the few firms in the marketplace that supports QuickBooks, Sage 50, Sage 100, Sage Intacct, and Sage Distribution and Manufacturing, also known as SDMO. This gives us a rare insight into helping you pick the package that fits you and your business's needs. And because of the diversity in the packages we can also support your business as it grows and changes. And we have a strong commitment to workflow and efficiency. And we also have been doing this for 26 years in the distribution and manufacturing space. Next slide, please. So we do have some Sage Intacct resources on our website. So if you go to our main website, you can see the resource button. And what it'll do is it'll actually give you some different resources. Next slide, please. And then within the resources, we also have demos and overviews. So if there's a specific topic that you would like to look at, or we have tips and tricks of how to improve your workspace, as it is listed here, and then how to use the enhancements within the organization. We have little demos of that, and they're about 10-15 minutes. They're not very long. Next slide, please. And of course, if you do not know which direction you need to take, you can always schedule time with us and we can work through anything that you have, any questions that you have, any questions about the different softwares. You can reach out to Jessica. She's our wonderful customer success manager, and her number is listed on the slide. And then you can also click to book time with her on our PowerPoint as well. And then you can also go to our website and have any of the resources that you would like, and you can contact us on LinkedIn as well.